The methodology on implementing my project was I found a small hospital out on the outskirts of Tulsa that was willing to participate in a study, and then they were willing to indulge me on evidence-based practices. So with the DNP project we have best practices. So after doing all this research, best practice was to implement this strangulation tool and this assessment as part of my project, and they were willing to participate. So I went out to a small hospital. They have about 40 beds and like a 5-bed ER and a 2 trauma bays. So it's a really small, intimate setting, but they really want to make an impact on the rural healthcare. So I chose that for my setting, and then what I did was education. So I educated the staff. We did a pre and post test. I pre-tested them on their knowledge, what they actually knew about strangulation and victims and outcomes on patients. I did the doctors, the nursing staff, and we pre-tested their knowledge, and then again we post-tested after educating them. So we did formal face-to-face education, and test scores went up like almost 40%. So from the pre-test, and like I said, we're talking about nurses and doctors, and post-testing, the scores went up 37.6%. So it actually did a drastic improvement in just a small setting. So if we were able to sustain this project in a larger hospital, we would have larger results. I think the most important thing that they learned, there was 2 things, I believe. One was the best practice of the correct radiographic imaging on a strangulation victim. So most people would think it's an ultrasound or a CT scan, but it's actually a CTA. So maybe some of the small rural hospitals don't have that, but it's good to know that that's the correct procedure. The second thing is that the nonverbal findings on a patient, they were able to see the things that would happen to the patient without them telling them. Next steps on this project, it would have to be something long-term. I reached out to the National Training Institute just this week after I finished up my project, because they have ongoing trainings and ongoing things with this. And I wanted to give them feedback, because it's such a large facility that they probably don't get feedback from the small hospitals. And they were really excited to get the feedback from a research project in Oklahoma, because Oklahoma wasn't one of the mandated states that actually implements this project yet. So I think there's 38 other states that have done this, and Oklahoma's just now coming on board with this. So it's important that if somebody else took it over, if another DNP student took this and went a little further with it, or took it to a larger scaled hospital, or if I could work with the National Training Institute and see where the next avenues were with them, I would work with them a little bit. After graduation, I'm really excited. I want to go into practice on my own. So in order to do that, I really feel like a structured environment with family nursing practice at a facility that already has that would be perfect for me for a few years. And then after I get my feet wet on my own, then I'm going to open my own practice. That's my long-term goal.